Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be in the cosmos. I'm Rockin' Larry Lockin with Pleiadian Express Productions and Pleiadian Talk. Today, I'm joined by my sometimes co-host, Bridget Rao. Good afternoon, wherever you may be in the cosmos. I'm Rockin' Larry Lockin with Pleiadian Express Productions and Pleiadian Talk. Today, I'm joined by my sometimes co-host.
What happened? Hello?
Well, that was certainly a little error there. Well, I had the chat room up, and where the show plays live, I had that on too. So, wow, I guess everybody got a double dose of that.
Yeah, that was fun. That was funny.
Let me try this again. This is yours truly, your cosmically delicious DJ, Rockin' Larry Lockin with Pleiadian Talk and bodacious Bridget Rao. Today we're going to talk about the flat Earth theory. Is the Earth flat? Is it a conspiracy? Is the Earth round? Is it a sphere? Is it a hockey puck flattened out and flying through space? These and many other questions probably won't get answered today because the answer should already be pretty crystal clear, but we're going to go ahead and tackle that anyway. Bridget Rao, clear all the way over on the other coast from me, around Boston. By the way, congratulations to the Patriots, your home team, for making it to the Super Bowl for the 100,000th time. Other than that, Bridget, welcome, and how's it going?
Pretty good. Yeah, I know I don't watch the football at all, but it's like I don't even think about it anymore. I'm like, yeah, they're obviously going. Like, when wouldn't they go?
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, I hear you. I know it's kind of, it gets old after a while, but you know, it's just how it goes. Somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to be the winner all the time, I guess.
I know. I think that we have like supersonic team or something. Like, they must be all Pleiadian.
Yeah, they must be, except for Brady and Belichick are really like Trump. So I don't know how to justify that one. But nevertheless, you know, you can separate the two things, sports and politics. But what you can't separate is the Earth flat? Or is it round? Or is it a sphere with a hollow Earth in it? Is it a hologram? Is it a hockey puck? I know I already ran through all that. What do you what do you think? What does your Pleiadian sense tell you?
Okay, well, I have seen like bits and pieces of this whole flat Earth stuff popping around the internet for a while, and I think one of the first times I was like, kind of like, what the hell? It was actually a video of Barbara Messiniak, and people were like, oh, Barbara Messiniak flips out on somebody in this video because they asked about the flat Earth, and I guess she kind of like trashed the person, like basically called them stupid and was just mean to them, while the Pleiadians were through her. And
oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
It just, and so I did listen to that just because I was like, and I had to like get through like the answer that was given, and they wasn't really nice about it, or they weren't really nice about it, which makes me feel like it wasn't, I don't know, because they're not like that. Like, they're not just gonna come out and be a jerk to you.
Exactly like that. And, you know, if we want to go down that rabbit hole about Barbara Marciniak, the last 20 years since she wrote her last book, yeah, I don't feel, you know, and I'm not blaming her, but I think she's just kind of going through the motions with it now, doing the seminars and making money doing that. But all her stuff is so regimented and so, like, sounds like so it's like a syllabus to a classroom. I mean, I don't know. And especially with some of the stuff she said about Hillary and her pro-Trump, it doesn't vibe with me anymore. And I just think she's going through the motions, but I wouldn't be mean about it either. In fact, I got to tell you, Bridget, I haven't really come across too many people, or maybe I don't notice it, that are trying to promote this flat earth theory. I know on another show, a guy I listen to sometimes who does Fade to Black, Jimmy Church. I know it drives him absolutely nuts, these flat earth theory people, but I don't really see a lot of them talking about it. And if they did, I'd have to wonder, why in the hell are they doing it? I mean, if they what is it? That's one of them things where, I mean, unless you know for an absolute fact and have proof to back it up, why are you going to come out and talk about the earth being flat? Or are they just misdiagnosing something? I mean, the earth is obviously, in my opinion, a sphere, you know, maybe with a hollow tip at each side. But I don't really know. I think it's kind of just comical. And one of them things out there that irritates people. But I mean, I think it's almost like somebody bored one day. Hey, let's make up a new subject to fuck with people about, and you know, irritate radio hosts.
Well, I mean, I haven't, like what you just said, I haven't seen that much about it for me to be like really educated on where these people are coming from with it. I did have someone reach out to me recently and ask me, and they sent me like several links to videos about why it makes sense. And so there is people out there who's doing a lot of investigating and a lot of reading into this, and honestly, you can make anything seem legit enough if you back it up with facts and whatever. So my answer to the whole thing was, because they were asking, they're like, I know you communicate with the Pleiadians, I was just wondering what your take is on this. And I've had other people ask me that as well, and the answer that I get without channeling is, sorry, I'm in my basement next to like a hot air thing. The thing that they come through with is that we are all the creators of our own reality. When enough of us are focusing on a reality where the earth is flat, then those people are more than welcome to go ahead with that theory or that reality that the world is flat for them. There's other people out there in the world who believe that the world is completely solid and round, and that is probably from looking at all of the pictures that we see of planets and the moons and things like that. So, okay, you can live in your reality where the world is completely round, and, science class taught you that, and all of the planets are the same, and blah, 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 blah. But for me, the image that I'm shown when I'm connecting with them is like that Taurus, which is Taurus. It's not Taurus like the Taurus constellation. It is a Taurus shape, and it is round, but the inside is hollow. And then so that takes care of that whole hollow earth thing. And I do subscribe a little bit to the hollow earth, not that there's like a huge, like, nothing going on in the earth, but that there's like caverns, and that there are definitely, like, we've seen them. We have proof that there are cities under the ground. And so we also have people from the history who have said when they've traveled around the world at the Arctic and North Pole areas, they found places where you could go into the earth. And so that would make sense with the whole Taurus shape, because the top and the bottom are open, energy runs around it. It just kind of fits all three theories best for me. I haven't sat down and channeled an answer from them to get like their take on it. They're always much better at putting these things into words than I am, but that is my take on it. And I don't want to take anything away from anybody, especially where I haven't done a lot of research into it. I mean, it is, at this point, it's comical, but because I know where I was several years ago, where, like, if you told me Pleiadians existed, I would have laughed at you. So I can't dismiss anybody in any belief that they have until I actually sit down and do my own research into it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I totally agree with you. I mean, it vibes with me, and maybe the Pleiadians really, that's, what they are trying to convey for you. But there's a lot of evidence out there. I mean, there's the case of Admiral Byrd I believe in the late 40s, having an expedition up to, I believe, the North Pole, and claiming that there was a hollow earth, that he saw, I don't know, cities down there. And you're right, there's been several reports. There's caverns. I agree. I think so. Kind of the way I'm seeing this is it's kind of in the middle. It's not flat, but it's not that it's just a solid like rock floating around out there. I mean, there's some depth to it. Sparky, my dog had to chime in too. And so that's kind of how I feel about it. And it is kind of comical now, but yet I don't know enough about where they're coming from either to really make a judgment on that. I just have to question. The only thing I would question is, Why are they bringing that out? What is it? Why are they not trying to go for more of the angle that it's hollowed, or that it's a sphere, or that it's, a translutional hologram, or a starship? I don't understand what it is, where they're trying to bring something such a boring thing in, like, okay, it's just flat. The earth really is flat. Well, I mean, where is this argument coming from? And I guess, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like I don't know. I just feel like, why are they tackling that issue? You know what I mean? Why are they tackling that issue? Even if they thought there was some relevance to it. It's one of the things where, unless they have some concrete proof, instead of what this motherfucker said, or that motherfucker said, or this researcher said, why would they bring it up? So, but that being said, yes, I mean, I honestly, and we're doing the show, and I really don't care to know really what they have to say about it, to be honest. But I'm not downing them, because, like you said, I know where I was 4 or 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So, it's just one of them things. But the agenda, it either started because there was some there to it, if not only a little bit, but maybe quite a bit, or somebody just wanted to get that rumor out there going to, deflect from other shit going on. Just another, bullshit issue to put out there. And to tell you the truth, I don't know how many people that would be posting this stuff themselves, and this could be judgment. I don't know how many of them have probably really even looked into this. I mean, anybody hears any kind of paranoid theory or anything like that, a lot of their natural reactions is to jump to something like that, right? And help disseminate this information when they really don't know. They don't know the particulars either. And they ought to have the common sense, though, I think, to realize that it's such an outrageous claim that, let's get some pretty solid facts. Okay. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of the way I see it.
Right. And so, for just the basic things, like, the first thoughts that popped into my head too, while I'm sitting here thinking and actually focusing on the topic, is everything is energy, and everything is created through our thoughts and our consciousness. And so, if you think about it, the earth can take shape into anything that we want it to. We just need to give our, like, thoughts to it. I mean, we're in a third dimensional reality, so there is physical stuff here, but we have the power to manipulate it and change it. And history repeats itself too a lot. So it's like, you look back, and I've said this so many times on different shows and things like that. It's like, how did we go from building friggin' pyramids to thinking the world was flat? And then here you go in 2017, where making all these advancements in technology, like, you can literally buy something that will go up and show you the world attached to it, to show you if it's round or whatever. And we have people out there saying that it's flat, and it's like, what?
Well, yeah, they'll come back with that, because what they would say, here's what if I was one of them, how I would answer you. I'd go, well, you put something up there that the public has, NASA and the NSA can block shit out, with, they can block it from your radar. It can manipulate it to where it looks a certain way to you, and it's not the way that it is. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm not saying that there isn't some of that shit going on, but I mean, that's the kind of immediate first response that you would get from a lot of
And
these
that's
people.
the type of response that isn't good enough for me, because it's like, all right, well, first of all, like, there's tons of people who go out in the ocean on boats. There's people who fly, and I have seen a little bit about, they say, like, the patterns of flight plans. They say that they're not curved or something. They're straight. But I've actually looked, and they're not. Like, they have curve to them. So I don't know if they're saying they're straight because somebody else said they're straight, and they're, like, just going along with it, and
I
it
would
fits.
say, yeah,
You know what I mean?
I would say that 90% of the time, at the very least, I mean, and I don't know that for a fact, but I would pretty much stake my life on it, that absolutely, they're just hearing that, and they're disseminating it, and it sounds good and something new to them, and it's wow, something that we've been lied to about, or their first initial reaction is to You know, their heart might be in the right place with what they're trying to look into, but they're so busy trying to find some there and a smoking gun that little clues along the way that may help them, you know, find the true answer are not available to them. They just dismiss it. You know, they're they're avoiding the big elephant in the room and thinking it's the, you know, it's the poor old lady next to them that's trying to, you know, screw with their lives or something. So I mean, that's just the way I see it. You know.
Right. You and I have talked about this a lot too, because, and I see this a lot with people who, you know, come to me for readings or healings or whatever. A lot of the people in the world that I've noticed, they'll go onto YouTube or something, or they'll read something and they believe it like instantly. And they have no healthy skepticism in them. And then they'll come to you for question, you know, for answers. And it's a very difficult spot to be put in, because I don't like being like put up on that thing where like, okay, I'm going to come see you tomorrow because I know you're going to tell me exactly what is what, and if this is true or if this isn't true. It's like, I don't know either, but I can tell you, like, you have the power inside of yourself to discern and make decisions for yourself in your own reality. Like, I don't want anybody to go outside of themselves looking for someone else with the answer. Like, and if you're looking outside of yourself and you see something and you're like, oh, that must be true, I'm going to go find out. You wouldn't be looking for someone else to give you confirmation on it, because you would already know.
Exactly. And I feel like when you were telling me that, like 75% of it is they want you to confirm what they just read on some random bullshit wherever, YouTube or wherever. They want you to, you know, 25% of us, yeah, they're looking for you because they think that you're, you know, you've got all the answers, which if that was the case, you wouldn't be talking to them, because you would have already won a big lottery, you know, if you had that kind of deep insight. Now I'm just kidding on that sort of.
Right. I think
I feel like 75% of it is, though, is they're so excited to hear this new shit that they think they're onto. They're looking for you to confirm that for them. I get it sometimes too. Used to get it a lot with different things, and they want to reference what this motherfucker said and that motherfucker said, and, or this or that. And I mean, I you know, what do you want? My take on it? I mean, you know, I mean, it is what it is, and you really do got to go within. How many times do we always say that on the show? Go within. You really do have to go within, and you can't just have some healthy skepticism. You know, there's a difference between blindly believing in something and, oh man, it sounds so good, and something resonating with you. If something resonates with you a little bit, it's going to drive you to actually want to, you know what it's going to do if it resonates with you? It's going to drive you to look more into it yourself and start to go within and figure it out on that terms. Now they can come to talk to somebody like you to maybe get, you know, I don't know, just like a, not reassurance, but, you know, just to kind of run it by you. And it wouldn't necessarily change how they think, whatever you said, you know what I mean? It would just be some more food for thought for them. But
right. Like,
they
even when I'm
anything, and it's always this shit that's a paranoid or a doom and gloom, or they're so desperate to want to uncover any little fucking thing you could imagine, from the hollow earth to, I mean, the Clintons raping kids in a pizza parlor right in your hometown. I mean, but you know what I mean, not to get off on that, but exactly, they need to, you know, do some research and then ask yourself within all these questions, you know, is it a big conspiracy that, well, I'm not going to hear this on the mainstream news because it's such a, you know, it's kept hidden. But then you got to think about how big a story like that is. There's some things that you can't keep completely hidden, you know what I mean? And if you think that way, you're always just going to be somebody that worries and is always in that lizard fear paranoia mode, right? And what you're going to do when you do that is you're really not going to see the real elephant in the room, you know, that may really not have your best intentions in mind or humanity's best intentions. But back to what you said about manifesting, right? I mean, it's sadly, and hopefully at the same time, if enough of the collective was to start to believe in that the earth was flat and go along with it, well, you know, I guess the earth would be flat. But I don't know how many people that in that collective, except for a very few, would have actually done any of the research short of seeing a video on YouTube or some post that they read, one post by one person, and then didn't absolutely. If they're really that fascinated by it, after you hear that, go delve completely into it. But when you delve completely into it at the same time, don't already have a mind made up that oh, well, this could be possible. This is it. This is, I mean, keep an open mind and look into it. And at the end of the day, if you really got your true answer, really, what is it going to matter to you anyway? What is it, is that you're going to think, well, they came up with this, the earth was round to keep us under some kind of control, so yeah, I guess I'm a little more critical of that kind of mindset than maybe you are, but it's not because that they believe in that theory. It's just all the minutia that goes around it. You know what I mean? With no there, it's a rabbit hole.
And it happens with a lot of things too, because when I do connect and get answers for people, a lot of times people will come in with a specific question, whether it's on the flat earth or whatever, and when you get the answers from them, it's usually they don't confirm or deny things like point on most of the time. Like they will if it's on certain things, but a lot of times it's like, no, like they want you to expand and figure it out yourself and use your best judgment and things like that. But if you do give people information that goes against what they want, like they go ahead and they find something that resonates for them, and then they come for confirmation on it, and if they don't get that confirmation, they get defensive.
Right.
And that's like a whole other thing. And it's like, why are you getting defensive on this? If you're coming out for answers that you obviously some part of you was doubting, or you wouldn't be looking for it outside of yourself, don't get defensive when the answer isn't in alignment with what you actually asked for. Because I don't do that. I won't sit down and lie to people, or like if I'm in channeling, they come through, they give you the answers, that it's totally different. But when I'm talking to people, I'm still receiving information from them. I'm just not giving it to you in their words. So a lot of times people are more defensive with me than they are than like if you're channeling, because they really can't be, like they just sit there and get their answer. But I've noticed people get very defensive with this type of stuff. And so I don't want to make anybody get pissed off, but I want people to realize, like, there's this kind of just popped out of nowhere. Like at least like the other theories have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
There's something behind it.
Exactly. So that hence another question, where did this come from all of a sudden to be blurted out there? And also what you said, how, they don't get as defensive when they know that, you're channeling from Pleiadian source. Well, hence again, that could be an issue too, because why would they just completely want to blindly be okay with that? But if it was coming from you, get defensive. You know what I mean? And the Pleiadians don't work that way. They don't exist in time. They deal with a trillion different various parallel timelines and realities. Excuse me. So how can then they want you to do the research, right? Something like this is totally a go within issue, right? And that is a prime issue where they would want you to try to work that out on your own instead of just give you an answer, yes or no, a flat out yes or no on a question that is so complex. Because it's not exactly round. Either it is round, but it's probably a shape-shifting spherical force that that we don't even quite understand yet. So just to put labels on it like, oh, it's flat, or I mean, that you got to have some more substance to it than that. I mean, it ain't just flat. Nobody's gone over the horizon. Maybe they're thinking somebody's gone into the hole in the hollow earth, and maybe that's happened. And if that's the case, well, then it's more complex than it's just flat, because it's only doing it in those certain parts of the planet, and that's not a flat earth. And so but they want you to verify some little exciting thing that they think they're onto.
Right. And even as we're talking to, I'm thinking back on stuff that has come through from them, and a lot of times they will say, like, there's people will ask, even if it's a personal question about like something in their lives, there's more than one timeline and there's more than one experience happening right now. So we live here in this third dimensional reality where it's so hard for us to look outside and be like, and truly grasp the fact that there is no time and that everything is coinciding right now, and there are multiple dimensions. So in all likelihood, there could be a world or a reality where there is a flat earth, and there is one where it's a globe, and there's one where there's this, and there's one where there's no earth at all and it's something else. But where we're at this particular moment, that's not where I am. But you could also be living in maybe like what's happening here is people are merging into different dimensions and getting information, but again, I don't think that's what's happening. But
I don't think so, only because of the consciousness I think the people have that are putting this out, and much less than people that are sharing it. I don't feel their consciousness level is high enough to where they're getting that. Although if it was, I would totally agree with you. I think it's a totally great explanation, but it doesn't quite, 100% wash yet with me, because the consciousness of people that would put that out, because even if they knew it right, they should have the like awareness to realize that, okay, there's some shit that you're going to come out with a theory and say, I mean, when it's that nuts, I mean, you better have 100% guaranteed scientific proof,
Right. Or they should, because now I'm thinking like, all right, so they're coming out with this concrete thing that, nope, the world is flat and it always has been flat and it's flat and flat and flat, flat. But they're not giving like any room for the people who don't live there. So I'm trying to be nice by allowing them to live in that dimension, but they're not in the dimension. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you cut out a little bit, but it does make perfect sense. They're more into a catchphrase. I think they're more into the words, the flat earth theory, than they are any kind of relevance or substance, or really looking into it. Because it's healthy to look into everything like that. But if you were just somebody who was interested in researching and found all this stuff intriguing to read and research, you wouldn't, you just kind of keep it in mind, and you wouldn't come right out and, oh, the flat earth theory, or you wouldn't even really. I'd be very careful in even sharing theories on it, and I'll tell you why. With most things, no way, theories have to all be out there, but with something that extreme, I kind of question, if you're not, that's one of them things where, you better have some there, like I said, to come up with and come out with. And you're right, it just came along recently. It's not like, or it just kicked up speed again recently for the first time since probably, Galileo was on Earth now or whatever. But it isn't like all these other paranoid thoughts or these conspiracies that come in and out from time to time, of our consciousness. And, something in a lot of those, there's usually some there to them, but not as much as people think. I always tell people that it's not as bad as you think it is, but it's a whole hell of a lot worse than you can imagine, because there's so many intricacies to it all. So I don't know, probably, for all we know, somebody like Alex Jones and Infobors could have come up with that and disseminated that. I mean, so, but all you can do with people that come to you for answers is, do what you do. You can't change anything you do. And yeah, but sadly, I think a lot of them are looking not for resonance verification, but they're looking for you to tell them that everything that they're wondering about, they're wanting you to confirm what they want to think inside. Right.
Right. And that's with a lot of things, people tend to do that. And sometimes if you mess with their paradigm, they get upset about it. But I will, I know for a fact that myself, if you're talking to me, I'm not going to lie to you, and the Pleiadians, they may give you options, but they usually their answers are to telling you in a roundabout way no, and to think about it a little bit deeper and go with inside and figure out like why you're even on this and whatever topic it is.
Yeah, why would some spiritual advanced enlightened race give just yes or no answers to things like that? I mean, how mindless, how unmultidimensional could you possibly be?
Right. And that's the thing. And so a lot of times people who come to the events that I do where it's like, it's a Q&A, we sit down and we go in a circle and they ask questions and they get the answers. Sometimes they love it, pointed, because they didn't get the answer that they wanted, or they feel like they left in the same position they came in, but they really didn't. They just didn't. Nobody's blowing smoke up their ass. You know what I mean? And people want that.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hence, it really is a division when you think about it. You in the New Age movement, Starseed movement, whatever we want to call it, you've got enlightened people. Well, like, of course, all too Martin, you and I, and other people that we know on Facebook, and then you've got others that are more into that, just wanting to have something fed to them. They're more into that cult. They're more into what you would think of that typical 70s new age cult type thing, where you have a master to tell you what's right, and you have, the cult leader to tell you, and any new thing that he comes up with off the top of his fucking head out of a Cracker Jack box or on a really good LSD trip, that's the gospel, right? And whereas when you're enlightened, you believe in unity, but you also go within and have all the answers within. And the only thing you're asking for advice from people for is, advice on things, just to get their kind of take on it, what they think. That doesn't involve getting pissed off at them, though. Either you take the advice or you don't, or either you take a portion of it that resonates with you, and yeah, because that's what advice is for. When you ask for it, we're not even talking about somebody coming up, getting your face and going, "I got some advice for you to give." Mm-hmm. The Pleiadians have been looking for you. They've been riding long and hard looking for you, and they've got something to tell you. When you better believe. I mean, especially when they're coming, right? And if you don't tell them what they want to know, they get irritated, or they get. I can't even resonate with them getting disappointed. I mean, well, okay, if they're disappointed, they don't have to completely 100% buy what you told them, and maybe some of it resonates with them, and then they can go back on their journey, looking into this stuff. But I can't stand people that say that, well, somebody said this, somebody said that, somebody did this, somebody did that. Once, I'll do that sometimes, but I don't continually beat the drum for one particular person that's telling me this. It sounds stupid when you ever have a friend that'll they'll be like enamored with somebody else, and they'll be like, well, they said this, well, they said that, well, guess what they said. And
Yep.
it's irritating as hell. Who gives a fuck what they said?
Right. And that's the thing too. And so, I mean, and we talked about this before we even got on air, about how this topic, it likely wasn't going to be a long show, because it's just, there's not that much to say about it. I have my 2 cents about it. We talked about it before. It's like, and this can relate to so many things in your lives. And a lot of times I feel like I forget, when I'm talking to people, like I already know stuff, or that they do know stuff, and I'm giving them too much credit, and then I'll find out later that like they didn't know, and then I feel bad because I'm like, oh shit, I should have let them know more. But we're all working together, and so if you have questions, I don't want people to be afraid to ask me them, and I don't want to like come off as like being a bitch about this, but it's just this particular topic for me at this time, I just don't resonate with it at all.
There's an exception
I mean?
to every. Yeah, exactly. That's kind of, you said it articulately. I think what I was trying to get to with you earlier, or even on the show, is that, oh, now I lost my train of thought. But exactly, but there's those exceptions to every rule. Yeah, you're right. You're not that kind of person to be that way. But there are these subjects that come up once in a fluke like this, that, how can you help but not be right? And all that does really is prove the rule that, you are a good person and you do take the time to, try to listen through to people and take questions on it. But when it's something like this, I mean, it's, until there's more to it that's, verified by, more people than some guru in a, in a chanting session, then or Alex Jones, or, the sludge report, you can't, you just can't give your energy to that, because they're really just looking for you to pry the answers out of you that they already want to hear,
Right. And I honestly, if this was something that was that big, and then again, it's like I'm going back and forth on stuff, because I know where I was before. So I'm like trying to stay in that perspective of not being like, I'm just going to shut off to this. Because, I mean, honestly, 5 or 6 years ago, there wasn't that much information out there about Pleiadians. And still to this day, I have people in my life who think I'm an absolute nutcase. And so with this whole flat earth thing, it's like, it's that same thing. Like, I really just want to take time. And you know what it's like the stupidest answer is in front of my face. Like, I should just go sit down and channel and get the answer from them and then be done with it, because I never do that, like, for myself. I channel for everybody else and ask questions for everybody else, but I haven't actually sat down and asked them. I've gotten visions while thinking about it because I'm always connected to them, but I haven't had it come through in their words. So I feel like I'm going to do that.
Okay.
And then share that.
I agree. I think that's a good idea. And I'll say that in your case, because I think, honestly, for me, I think you already have the answer. And to me, it's the most logical one there is, the way you described it earlier, your thoughts about it. Yes, it is somewhat of a hollow earth. It's a sphere. There's the torus without the U. That effect, and I mean, I think that maybe you need to go to you need to go and channel to get verification yourself on that. But no, I really do think that that's what it is. And maybe people bringing out this flat earth theory that are pumping that, maybe that would be that sounds very logical to anybody, I think, that would think it was just a rock or that it was flat. But then again, if they're solidly convinced that it's one or the other, I don't know. But I really do, there's so much about it we don't know. But to just the flat earth theory, I mean, I don't know. But I knew where I was all those years ago too. So I'm trying not to hold any judgment. And I'd be more emphatic about it, but I haven't had a lot of people. I haven't ran across it, fortunately, a lot in the groups. I mean, I have, and everybody's talking about it, that people are posting it everywhere. But I haven't ran across it a lot, and I haven't had somebody sit there and try to debate it at all. And that, that might turn me a little bit more sour. So I don't know. So that hence it tends to make me believe that, if anything, this particular issue was some kind of a recent mass propaganda intaking in its outset. Now, that's not to say that there's not some truth to this. I'm not saying that at all, but it's like you said earlier, the way this just came out of nowhere. This isn't like one of them theories that come and go, you know what I mean, where could be some there to it. There could be some there to this, but I just don't. It's just really strange, and I think all we can do is give our 2 cents on it, and send you out to channel. I could ask too, but I really, I think that'd be more suited for you to do, because I think they're going to give me the answer that you basically the way you described it. So.
Right. And I mean, it would be cool if we both got, like, because then we'd have confirmation, you know what I mean? Like, if you did a little,
Yeah.
you ask your guides, I ask my guides, we come back with, okay, yes. Like, that would be good enough for me.
I'll make this
even though we're making fun of people for being good enough to listen to one of the, if Larry said so, then I say so too.
No, I know. Yeah, you know what? Just you saying that, I'm going to go ahead and take some time after the show and after we edit and relax and, throw it out there to the Orb Collective and, see what comes back at me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. If they tell me it's flat, I'll be honest and say they told me it was flat, but I think that it'll what it'll do is it'll just create me to do a little bit more deep thinking and lead me closer to that answer. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, let's both do that, and we can, you know, in a day or two, or whenever we get the answer, whether it's a minute or a couple of days, we can both confer on that and, you know, get back to people. But, you know, I just thought it was interesting for this particular program to cover this topic because so many people are talking about it, even though I'm not seeing it. And so, you know, I just thought we'd throw it out there. And, you know, I wanted to get your take on it because you have a very, very great way of articulating it. And, you know, I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't know what else more to say on it, except for Bridget and I are both going to do our own separate channelings with the Pleiadians, or our collectives, and we'll see what comes from that. You know, it'll be of a pure, clear channel with no preconceived notions in our mind already, you know, because, well, one, by me, I know that it's not just that it's flat. If it's flat, there's something more to it that we're not getting. It's not just that you're going over the side all over the place. There's something more to it. If by some slim, whatever chance there was, it was true, there's something more to it than just saying it's flat. And if there is, well, then it's a goddamn crime that they would either post or share a post that just said that in the headlines. You know, the Earth is flat, or the flat Earth theory. You know, have a little bit something more behind it.
Right. And
yeah.
And I totally, you know, agree with this. And we even, I don't know, like we kind of just decided this the other day. We were talking and we were like, all right, let's do a show. And we knew that there wasn't going to be that much to say about it. I probably should have channeled before we did the show, because then I'd have more to say about it. But yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I want everybody out there, if you're listening and you are like 100% behind the flat earth theory and you have like really good information that makes you undeniable proof that yes. And I do understand that, because I know we're saying that, you know, this came out of nowhere, and that in the time of Columbus, did believe that the earth was flat, but that was because they were afraid to, you know, go off the edge of the earth, and that didn't happen. And that's when they were like, oh, okay, no, it's not. But they were also very far behind with technology at that point. And if you go farther back to like the depictions all over Egypt and in the different like Sumerian texts and things like that, they show that the world was flat. So, I mean, not flat, or circular or round or whatever. They have stars, they have planets as circles.
Well, if I could interrupt you real quick, Bridget, we had a comment in the chat room from James. He says, look up the axis of evil. Even if you don't think the earth is flat, everything points to the earth as the center of everything in creation. You know, does that comment do anything for you, or?
So can you read it again?
Yeah, he says that look up the axis of evil. Even if you don't think the earth is flat, everything points to the earth as the center of everything in creation.
Okay, and is that something that was like, is that a book, or is that just?
Well, the axis of evil, the only axis of evil I've ever heard of was what George W. Bush referred to, you know, North Korea, Iraq, or Iran and Russia as during 9/11, when he came out and said the axis of evil. The Axis powers were also what the Nazi forces called themselves in World War II, them and their allies, which was Italy and Japan at the time. So I don't know. I mean, you know,
Okay,
everything does revolve around it. But I mean, I'm just talking about given the misconception, though. I mean, I think what we're just trying to hear is the misconception of that the earth is just this flat surface, okay? Because even though that's maybe not be what's meant, that's what people are going to hear when they're out, when, you know, most people are going to hear when they see that. And then they're really, you know, they're not going to delve into it anymore. Besides, you know, hey, the earth is flat.
Exactly, because this is like, to me, this is two different types of things. Like I'm more pulled to figure out, like, are we like, you know what I mean? I'm more pulled to look into that than to look into the world being flat.
Exactly. You're right. Exactly. I mean, it's a catchphrase. It's just like that's all it is. It's a mindless catchphrase that can be repeated over and over again. Just put more stuff out there to keep people distracted.
They need a better marketer.
Exactly. At the very least, even if by some chance they were onto something. I mean, they're basically shooting themselves in the foot by, not having a good not marketing it well, just having some catchphrase title, where, even if I thought it sounded good, I might be turned off because it's just a catchphrase title.
Right, and the pictures that I've seen associated with it are just flat earths, and there's nothing else going on in the title or the pictures that are, and I do understand that I may sound ignorant because I haven't bothered to do a lot of research or reading into this, but you have to catch my attention enough to want to. And so, I mean, I guess this shows that we've caught the attention.
That's the real problem right there. It's not whether the earth is flat, round, or sphere. It's the fact that there's no creativity behind it enough to want to catch, somebody's attention. And it's just not going to catch people's attention like, well, like a lot of people's, like mine, like yours, like, people that are critical thinkers. A catchphrase isn't going to do it.
Right. And I think that we've kind of figured it out a little bit now that, I don't know, even I just need to take more time with it. And I really don't even want to say anything more because I don't want to.
I don't either.
You know what I mean? I don't want to be a bitch. I don't want to make fun of anybody. I don't want to discount anybody's opinions. I just know that from the brief experience that I had connecting, was not channeling. What I saw made much more sense to me, but that's just a brief moment in time. So I am going to go ahead and do a little bit of research, do some channeling, figure it out,
I as well. And, I think we owe it to the listeners out there. And I don't mean to sound like an asshole either, but it's just that I get kind of upset because in the time that we're living in right now with, there's always a million things going on in the world. I get it. But I mean, it's just, I just am a little bit skeptical, but I'm going to, before I do any more research into it, I'm going to channel myself and see what I get back. And more than likely, I'll either get some kind of an answer or it'll lead me to do the research. So
exactly. And that's where I'm at.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think, Bridget, I mean, it's, I think we were only going to talk about 20 or 30 minutes. And I think, we've been on a while. And I think that one thing we should both, promise our listeners is that we're going to both take some time this evening and put it out there, channel it, and, we'll get back to everybody. If it's if the information you and I both get is so profound and substantive that it's worth us doing another show on, we can. If not, we can always come back to the channel and the PEP page on Facebook and both put in what we discovered. You know what I mean? But you and I will confer on that. And I'm sure that it'll happen within, whether it's today, tomorrow, whenever, I'm sure that our answers will happen within, minutes of each other, probably, or hours of each other, whatever information we both get. It's kind of usually how it works.
Right. And then that sounds good for me. I just don't have anything else to say.
So Bridget Rao, where can everybody find you in the wonderful world of the internet and in, cyberspace and outer space too? But,
Okay. My name is Bridget Rao, and I am on Facebook under Divine Essentials, Pleiadian Essentials. I am like a person for the Pleiadian Express Productions with Larry Locken, and I just made a new website. It's called Pleiadianessentials.com. And my old website, becreatively.com, is still up. There's a little bit more information on there, like things that have been collected over the years, but the new site's really pretty and cool, so you should check that out. And that's about it.
Hey, sounds good to me. And of course, I'll keep it real simple. I won't go through the 20 pages and 40 groups that we have. So I'll just say if you want to check out any of those, go to a page called Pleiadian Groups and Pages. That will list all 20 our various starseed pages, our 40 various starseed groups. It'll also give you the link to our 2 YouTube channels, Pleiadian Express Productions, and of course the Pleiadian Light Grid Project. It'll also give you although I don't like using Twitter, although I probably should. It would probably be advantageous for me to do so. But we actually have 2 YouTube channels or 2 Twitter channels, and they're also included on that page. And we also have a website, larrylocken.wix/Pleiadian Express Pro. And that's a link to both of our YouTube channels, as well as some of the things we do on Facebook. There's a donate button on the front. If you like what we do and want to help out with equipment or whatever, you can donate $1 or $2 by hitting donate and going and hitting the PayPal button. And that's about it. I think what I'll probably do is I'll include a link, Bridget, to your new website in the show title, so that can get out there a little bit more to people. But other than that, girl, I think that's about it. I think it's time to give everybody a big cosmic dating game kiss, and mwah. And from coast to coast, that's a wrap.